Good morning to you. It's Daybreak at iFiber One News Radio, and in some ongoing and continuing conversations about talking about the Mason County budget that was passed, obviously, for 2018. We are bringing in and welcoming folks from the different various county departments to talk a little bit about possible changes in service, how budget cuts could impact their departments. And today we've got on Mason County Public Works. We got three great guests in studio here: Jerry Hauth, Bart, Stepp, and John Huestis. We'll get a chance to meet John as well. First, Jerry, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jeff.
Thanks for coming on the air with me.
Pleasure to be here.
Bart, good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning.
John, welcome to the community. You come from Salem?
Yes.
And how long you been here now? And
about a month.
Oh, yeah. Well, welcome to the county, huh?
Thank you, Jeff.
It's always very exciting. It's been tough conversations over the last couple years for folks, and this last summer kind of all came to a head with some major cuts in the different budgets, and 2018 saw no different. So, Jerry, let's start with you. Kind of anticipations for any reductions in services that people may see, or are there just things that perhaps have gotten done in the past that may not get done as quickly as we'd like, perhaps? I don't know. Talk to me about that.
Well, your last comment there is potentially accurate or somewhat representative of what we're going to be facing. We haven't been operating at full staffing levels for some time, and because of the budgetary restraints, we'll continue to operate like that. So we've got pretty much a basic skeleton crew. Mm-hmm. With the budget reductions this past year, we're going to be faced to probably not get some of the stuff done that we would like to do, some of the stuff we normally do. Some of the programs like the chip seal, the BST program, we've got a pretty hearty program identified for next year, but then the following year it is a very minimal program. Mm-hmm. So that's how we're compensating for it. We have the responsibility to keep the infrastructure operational, and as such, we're going to do that. And then we'll, if we have to, we may not do a road project, or we may have something else that has to be deferred because we have that basic responsibility to keep the infrastructure operational, whether it's the roads or the utilities.
So when it comes to, let's go back to the chip sealing, which is something I know that people in the county do appreciate, get the roads looking and feeling a little better under the tires. So do you have to go back and reprioritize works that you had maybe thought about doing in the past, bringing some ones that are a little worse for wear up to the top, saying, well, we got to focus on this, we got to make sure that this for sure gets taken care of with the limited resources we have?
Yes, exactly. We have kind of an ideal world where we have the money we need to accomplish what we identify and would like to accomplish, and then we have the budgetary restraint world. And with that, we're looking at essentials. It's a lot easier to do a little preventative maintenance and hold it together mm-hmm. than it is to ignore it altogether. But in some cases, we're going to have to really figure out what the minimum amount of maintenance is that we can do to hold it together. And hopefully, we're not going to have a bad snow year or a bad flood year, because that kind of pitches everything on its ear.
Yeah, let's talk about the snow. I mean, we talk with other department heads and officials who say, listen, there are certain things that are out of our control. We don't know when things are going to happen, and the weather obviously is one of these things. And if we get one bad snowstorm, I mean, it's not like you guys are just going to stay home. Well, the roads are bad. Sorry, I can't even get to the office to get the snow. You're going to have to do those things.
We have to do that. And believe it or not, we've had flood events that one day we have $1 million damage. So that's a big hit in your budget.
Yeah.
And, if we face something like that, we're going to have to look for those resources elsewhere. And that may mean, a project or cash reserves that have been set aside for a project or whatever. Because even though it's eligible for potential FEMA reimbursement, we still have to pay for it initially. So, and the reimbursement, sometimes it takes years to get reimbursed on that. So we have to do whatever it takes to get by.
Introduce the listeners to the other two gentlemen here.
Bart came to work for us a year ago in September. He has a background in wastewater. His degree is in water management and is in charge of our utilities and solid waste program, one of the two deputy directors. And the gentleman on the far left, John Huestis, we recruited him just about a month ago to come in as the new county engineer, the other deputy director that's responsible for the road department and the transportation side.
Where'd you come from?
Before here, I was living kind of in the Vancouver, Washington area.
Okay.
My previous job was Public Works Director for Woodland, Washington.
Oh, sure.
So that's right on I-5.
What do you think of the systems we have around here? We talk a lot about ways that people are trying to, different hookups and getting off septic and making sure everybody's safe and not expelling stuff into the waterways. Get a good sense that the county's on the right path moving forward with things?
Well, I mean, it's a big county, and our systems aren't, our systems are mainly in the east part of the county.
Yeah.
But, anytime you can get septics onto a centralized sewer system, you're going to improve the water quality.
And John, talk to me a little bit about your engineering background and some of the things that you'll be doing kind of on a daily.
My engineering background, I basically, I actually went to school to be a biologist and was going to attend med school, and started my career about 26 years ago in public works in maintenance, actually. And over the years, I've worked my way up and sat for some engineering exams and was able to pass those successfully, and so worked my way into the engineering side of things. And 8 years ago, I was the public works director and county engineer for Lewis County, a couple of counties south of here, down in Chehalis. And so since then, that was sort of the highest level I achieved, and I really enjoyed being a county engineer and the responsibilities that go along with that. And then I left for various personal reasons, and then had a stint with tribal government, federal government, state government, and now I'm back to the county. So those opportunities and experiences have broadened my horizons some and given me new perspectives, and built a lot of solid relationships in my field too. So I get to bring all that to bear for my work here with Mason County. On a daily basis, I'm in charge of the road department, as Jerry said, and we've got the maintenance and operations going on daily out there with our maintenance activities and our operations in the summer. Speaking of the chip seal and the snow plowing and the flooding and all that sort of stuff falls under my responsibility. The funding certainly is a big issue. I'm coming in at just at the time where we're adopting a budget that's sees us trying to do more with less, or at least keep the status quo out there. And so just getting my arms around that. There's a lot of, the counties in Washington state are a bit unique in that we have another layer of government between us and the state and the feds, and it's called the County Road Administration Board, or CRAB. And they're a help to counties, but they also have a regulatory role, and so there's a lot of reporting and a lot of accountability that between the county road department, county engineer, and CRAB. And so this is a time of year where we're basically doing a lot of developing a lot of reports for what we did last year and looking ahead, and so there's a fair amount of interaction with them and responsibility. So
were you down in Lewis County, you said about 10 years ago? Was that during the floods? We had those
Yeah.
major floods. What kind of experience you learned there that you could bring up here? So
We don't do that here. Hopefully no experience.
Terrible. Oh my gosh, that was
we had several natural disasters while I was down there with the county. One of the things that we learned was we got really good at understanding the variations between the federal emergency response program and this. Basically, there's two emergency programs. One's with federal highways and one's with the FEMA. And so depending on the classification of the road, certain funding can apply. So it's making sure that you can't really absorb that kind of a hit as a local agency. So you've got to get every dime you can in recovery funding that's available. So understanding how to maximize those funds, how to address each site as quickly as you can, and take the pictures and get the documentation you need to have, so that you can make the case for each site, and that it is eligible for funds, and then working with those agencies to get it put back together right. And some of them are long-term, some of them are short-term fixes. Just responding, having a plan for how to respond, whether it's taking a snowplow route and sending out teams of engineers through each road that has a priority basis, so that you're able to start closing roads that are unsafe. And there's a whole lot of things you learn through events like that you can bring to bear for future. But a lot of it's just being prepared and understanding what to do in the heat of the moment.
Fiscal responsibility, obviously a big issue for many folks. Do you guys talk with your counterparts in other counties on ways that they have been able to stretch their dollars more, different ways that you may not have thought about? And if you guys pick up the phone, call other counties, say, listen, I got a problem here. You guys have any solutions?
Well, more frequently, what John just alluded to, crab. I was on the phone yesterday with crab. We've got crab coming in today. Tomorrow?
Yeah.
And talking about financial issues with them, and then trying to find out either models for how to approach this stuff, or really how significant the issue is and how widespread. John will be going to some professional development training here next month, which will be essentially county engineers from around the state, and they all kind of sequester in a conference center and spend a couple of days just kind of comparing notes and sharing ideas and learning about stuff that's coming down the pike at them, and trying to get better at what we do, because we're all pretty much facing the same thing.
Yeah. Well, very good. It was nice talking with you guys. We're up against the news here, but talking about some of the potential impacts of the 2018 Mason County budget in public works in the road department. Jerry Hauth, Bart Stepp, John Huestis. Good to see you again, Jerry. Good to meet you guys as well. And thanks for coming on. Anytime you need to get some information out, you know where to come, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Good to see you guys.
All right.